For families, it's okay to talk about it. Everything doesn't have to be a secret, because when secrets are exposed, that's when the help can happen. As far as students, that it's okay to be a leader of today. You don't have to demote yourself in your thought processing to make others comfortable. You can't grow if you're comfortable. Keep being you. You don't, just because everybody's doing it. If you're not doing it, that means everybody's not doing it.
Substance use disorder touches all our lives, and often we feel hopeless or frustrated in our pursuit to understand how and why it happens.
Welcome to APC Recovery Cafe, where we discuss the topics and trends around substance use, provide education and resources, offer recovery support, and also discuss prevention tactics, all through the stories of the people who have been there.
We invite you to grab your favorite coffee or tea and join us for a variety of guests that will bring understanding, information, connection, and hope.
Together, we can break the stigma and pave a brighter future for each other.
Hey folks, welcome into this episode of the APC Recovery Cafe. My name is Art Wimberly. I'm a person grateful to be in long-term recovery, and I'm a volunteer at the Addiction Prevention Coalition. And this morning in the studio, we have Abby Famurewa. Abby, did I get it right?
Yeah, close.
Close? Okay. All right. We'll try it again. Actually, from now on, you'll just be Abby, okay?
All right,
today.
that works.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
And so Abby's here, and she is going to introduce us to one of her coworkers.
Yeah, hi. So today we have Jasmine Gilbert. She's
Hello.
the program director for Addiction Prevention Coalition. Hi, Jasmine.
Hello, Abby.
Yeah. Good morning, Jasmine. Now,
morning,
I noticed you have a drink over there, a coffee of some sort. Can you describe what that is?
This is an iced, what did I get today? An iced white mocha
Yeah.
with a little caramel in it.
Yeah. Is that kind of standard for you, or is it you swap up?
During the winter time, I'm going to go with hot coffee, but most times as it starts to heat up, I'll go with
So you go with the iced coffee.
the iced coffee.
It's getting warm. Good. Cool. Well, tell us a little bit about your background. Are you from the Birmingham area, or did you grow up elsewhere?
I am. I'm born and raised from Birmingham, Alabama. I was a part of Birmingham City Schools.
Yeah.
I graduated from Woodlawn High School.
Yeah.
And I proceeded by going to Alabama State University,
Okay.
where I majored in rehabilitation services, but my concentration was in addiction, and my minor was in maternal and child health.
Oh, wow. What a combination.
Yeah.
So what got you interested in anything dealing with addiction?
Well, growing up, off and on, I lived in the household with a person that was dealing with addiction, opioid addiction. This past month, she celebrated 6 months sober.
Yay.
So that was really
Yeah.
cool. And I was really proud of her for that. But other aunts, uncles, addiction just kind of ran in the family.
Yeah.
So after seeing it for so long, I was like, well, maybe that's something I'm interested in. Originally, that I wasn't going that direction at all. But once I went to Alabama State and I was like, oh, I can concentrate in addiction. Let me see what that looks like. And I ended up having a professor, and he was in long-term recovery. And just sitting and talking to him, I just took the class on a whim. And after that, it was like, okay, I'm fully invested now.
Okay. Changed the course of your whole education career in a way, right?
It really did.
So prior to coming to the Addiction Prevention Coalition, what were some of the other jobs that you were involved in or other education?
So education-wise, during the pandemic, I decided to go back and get my master's degree.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, I just was bored. I was so bored. I went and got my master's from Arizona State University in nonprofit leadership and management. Because I've worked for nonprofits since I was about 16 years old.
Really?
Yes, so I've worked with them for a long time.
What is it about nonprofits that seems to attract you?
I can honestly say I feel like nonprofits are service-seeking organizations for people that are in need.
Yeah.
It's for people that don't even know they're in need. Yeah. And if you're really working with nonprofits, you're really doing it out of your heart, because you don't always get paid what you think you should get paid, or and you have a lot of hats you have to handle.
Yeah.
But you're doing it because you want other people to succeed. So I feel like it's a gift of service. Like, if for people who work nonprofits, you have to have the gift of service.
Yeah.
Because if not, you're going to be burnt out.
Yeah. Makes sense. So, Abby, what are some of the strengths you see in Jasmine? What does she bring to the organization?
Oh, a lot.
Besides her cooking,
Okay,
which we're going to
besides
get
the cooking,
to.
yeah,
Okay.
we'll get to that. That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite topics because I like eating. So I think one thing I love the most about Jasmine is her love for kids. We work a lot with a lot of students, and just seeing how she relates with them and how they relate with her. She always gives them a hug when we have like meetings and all that. And I just love that, mainly because I'm also not a children person. So I'm always fascinated about her and just the gift she has, just a love on people. And she has this warm presence, you know. You just want to hug her or tell her what's on your mind and things like that. And I mean, you can see from all the work she does with students. Before she came to APC, where were you working?
I was working so funny thing, I started working with Camp Birmingham when I was in high school. That was my very first job, Camp Birmingham. They don't even have Camp Birmingham anymore. But all through college, I worked off and on for Project Transformation, which was a literacy camp. And I was the reading coordinator for 4 years. So I would go back and forth during the summer times. And after that, I just kind of fell at Girls Incorporated of Central Alabama, and I worked there for 3 years. So I just seemed like I couldn't get away from working with kids, but I definitely didn't want to be away from working with kids. Because my grandmother always used to say, working with kids keep you young. That's what keeps you young.
Yeah.
So I think that was it.
What exactly do you love about working with kids? Like,
They're honest.
oh,
They're not going to fake how they feel about you. If they genuinely like you, you're going to know. But if they genuinely dislike you, you will definitely know. And they take you as you are. They're not looking for something from you. They're just looking for you. And if you treat them well, they'll treat you well.
So one of your titles is program director.
Yes.
Right. Can you describe a little bit about what the overview of the program's about?
Well, with the program director for the PFS SPF grant, it's a lot that we do. The student portion is part of what I just kind of took on because I didn't want that part to fall to the wayside. But we do anything from pop-up resource fairs to distribution of medication disposal bags to working with our school system and creating in-focus groups in the schools, which are like student-led, adult-guided groups that talk about issues surrounding substance abuse. And that can be anything from financial stability to making sure that they understand mental health and coping skills. So it's a lot of different aspects that comes with being the program director.
So still, though, involved with mostly teenage? Is that?
Sometimes, yeah, with the in-focus groups, yes, it's
Yeah.
the teenagers, it's middle school, high school. But it can trickle down to even working with the teachers and understanding the teachers and helping them to have having youth mental health first aid, just to understand what to look for in a student that they feel like is going through a crisis, things like that.
Yeah. Have you seen that kind of ramp up in the years since the COVID pandemic? Has that been more of a problem for teenage folks?
Personally, I do believe that it has. I don't know if I feel like it's okay, people want to talk about it, but it's the aspect of actually doing something about it.
Yeah.
And I also feel like we train teachers to see these things, but teachers have so much going on.
Yeah.
And with them having everything going on, sometimes they can miss it, even if it's right there. But they're working 5 different clubs and then they have their workload as a teacher. So a lot of times I'm thinking like, well, maybe we should do a lot of more parents because they're with them.
Yeah.
They understand. But it's easy for a parent to be in denial about the things that they see.
Yeah, in the 20 years or so that I've been working in this space or volunteering, you're right, trying to get to parents has been more difficult. Even when parents kind of know something may be going wrong, it's hard to get them into a space sometimes that seems comfortable for them to begin talking about it. So oftentimes you kind of have to come through like the student or the school system or something like that to actually get the conversation started.
Absolutely, because being in denial, sometimes I feel like being in denial just makes it easy.
Yeah,
It's easier to say, well, I didn't know that,
yeah.
than to say, well, I knew, I just didn't do anything
Right,
about it.
or this is just typical teenage behavior.
Yes.
Let's just, and
Right.
get ignored. I know that happened in our family too. So one of the things I know that APC has helped with, and y'all can give me more detail on this, is there's a summer trip that you guys have taken before, and I think it's to Ohio, isn't it? Yeah. And is that one of your favorite things, or
I absolutely love that trip.
tell us what it's called and what it's about? And,
Okay, so it is the Youth to Youth International Conference. Well, conference. And this year it's going to be in Delaware, Ohio. Normally it's in Columbus, Ohio. So I'm thinking they changed the schools, but it's normally about 400 or 500 students there. So lately we have been taking about 10 to 15 students. Most of them come from the different schools that we work in. They apply to be a part of it. And they go through a number of different classes. They have family groups. And what the family groups looks like is they work with students that are from different areas. They can be anywhere from, we had, I think it was the Cayman Islands that came over, and from Puerto Rico, but they're talking to different students that are doing pretty much substance misuse prevention in their schools.
yeah, the students themselves.
The students themselves.
Yeah.
And they're teaching them a lot of different things about how to decipher music and be more specific and intentional about the things that they put out as themselves that their peers see.
Yeah, like social media. Yeah.
They teach them a lot about social media, but they also teach them a lot about self-care,
Okay.
because a lot of times we overlook self-care, and they try to teach them at a young age it's important for you to have self-care when you're out there trying to get a message out.
Yeah.
Because it can, just like adults, kids can be burnt out as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part of the trip?
I like the aspect of them doing the classes, but I definitely love like the activities that they do in the afternoon.
Right.
They did a water park theme, like carnival theme last year. The kids absolutely loved it. It's easy for them to make friends, and it's easy for us to get to know the other advisors and what they're doing. And it's just fun.
Yeah.
I just love how free and open the space is for them to just have fun.
So a lot of these kids are learning, I guess, maybe for the first time that they can be leaders and meeting folks from different cultures, maybe for the first time, or traveling. Is that true?
It is. This last trip, I think all but two, it was their first time even flying.
Yeah.
So that was like amazing to see. They were terrified. So it was actually kind of funny because they were like talking and interacting, but when the plane started, they were looking like, oh no, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, seeing themselves as leaders,
Yeah.
that's more the inspirational part of it.
Yeah.
Realizing that, oh, somebody can listen to me. Yeah. I'm just not talking for my health, but I have an influence.
Yeah.
So I think that just seeing them, their eyes open to the fact that they can actually be leaders of today instead of tomorrow.
Yeah. And could come back home. Any thoughts, questions?
Not really. I just, I mean, you've talked a lot about your work with students. Can you talk a little bit about your work in colleges as well?
So the college thing for me is new. We do mental health happy hours, and we are on 3 different campuses. We are on Miles College campus. We're on both of the Jeff State campuses, the Center Point as well as the Shelby. And just recently we did a mental health happy hour for Miles College, and they talked about substance misuse, abuse, and healthy coping skills.
Yeah.
And to see even college students say, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize those were signs.
Yeah.
My friend does that all the time. It makes you think, like, when I was in college, what was I thinking? Like, all this stuff was happening, but I didn't really acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Or, in a sense, I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And one of the girls that was there, she was like, well, I guess you got to know better to do better.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is so true.
Yeah. So there's a big educational component to every layer that you guys are doing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So now I hear that you are an excellent cook. Okay, I keep hearing it from everybody. So where did that come from?
So I think I started cooking, maybe I was 7 or 8.
Wow.
I was young, but both of my mom's mom was a homemaker, but it was 11 of them, so she had to cook. There was no option. Like, she had to.
Yeah, you had to get pretty good at it. Yeah.
My dad's mom was from she's like number 2 and 7, I think, and she just loved to cook. So she went to school originally to be she was a home economics major.
Right.
That was what it was called then.
Yeah.
And just both of them combined, they were like, okay. They saw that I was interested, and they were like, okay, we're going to embrace this. So I have, like, recipes from my mom's mom that she never even told, like, she never wrote anything down.
Right.
But now I feel like I can't write it down. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to have to just manually teach it to somebody.
Yeah.
Because I can't, if I write it down or use a recipe for it, it never turns out right. But I can eyeball it, and it looks perfect.
Nice.
So I really think it was more my grandmother's, and I think it was a time aspect, the quality time aspect.
Okay. Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
Ooh. I've been perfecting my gumbo recipe.
Oh.
And I only make it one time a year. I only make it during Christmas because it takes so long to make.
Yeah.
And my family's like, every year I'm like, yeah, this should be different or this should be different. But they're like, no, this should not be different. This should be amazing. But I also like making the chicken pot pie. I've been really working with the chicken pot pie lately.
Yeah. So in the gumbo, is it a dark roux? Or
It's
is
a
it
dark roux.
Dark roux? Okay, cool. Yeah.
Definitely a dark roux.
Yeah.
Working at one of the camps I worked when I was in college, I was privileged to meet a lot of people from New Orleans. They came up to Oklahoma from Katrina, and it was an older lady there. And I was telling her how something I wanted to do. That was something I wanted to make. And she was like, baby, where are you from? I'm like, I'm from Alabama. She was like, oh, okay. She said, come to my house. And I'm like, okay. She was like, come on, just come. When you get off, come over. And she was like, when I got there, she was like, I'm going to teach you how to make it. I was like, okay. And after that, I stuck with it. So I think that's my main thing. And I love the quality time aspect. So now I'm like teaching my little cousins, like, hey, I don't have any kids. So I'm like, oh, yeah,
So
y'all
you're
come on.
passing it on.
Passing it on.
Yeah. So do you ever get to use the cooking skills with some of the students that you work with in any way yet?
Not at APC, not yet. They definitely are like, can you make this? Make a cake.
Yeah.
I haven't made it yet, but I'm definitely going to. Now, when I worked at Girls Incorporated, I was the health and wellness facilitator. So I cooked for them all the time. And to this day, I'll see girls, they're in high school now, and they're like, Miss Jasmine, you remember when you made this? I need you to make it again. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, definitely not making it again.
Yeah. So do you have a vision or a goal for the future? In other words, you've got education in nonprofit. You've been working in nonprofits, right? Mm-hmm. Is there a bigger or larger goal one day that you would like to expand? For instance, if you're not with APC one day, What do you want to do with what you've learned and your experience?
With what I've learned and how I've grown in nonprofits, I think eventually, this is what I've been thinking, I would really like to open up more of like a consulting firm that, in a sense, helps nonprofits to thrive. Just come in, evaluate, see what areas in which you can grow, but also keep an open space for helping people to create nonprofits. Like if you see something and you're like, okay, we have this need, and I really would like to start a nonprofit because I have so much background and education in it. I was like, okay, I can help you start that. I can get you with your first steps. So just kind of being that helping hand as far as creating a bigger empire for the nonprofit sector.
Do you ever see yourself getting away from interacting with students or young people? Or do you think that's always?
I think that would be really hard for me.
Yeah.
Because I get a lot of my energy from them because I'm naturally more of an introvert. Kids don't let you be that. And kids do not let you into that realm of their life. But no, I probably won't. I probably would still volunteer. Like now I'm still on the junior board for Girls Incorporated. Okay. So I probably won't ever stop working with students because I feel like students become adults. And if you create good humans as students and when they become adults, they stay good humans.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I have a question. So you mentioned you grew up with an aunt that struggled with opioid use. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about how that was for you? Because a lot of time we hear, the experience of the person using and not really of the family that had to deal with that, especially as a young girl, seeing your aunt deal with that. How did you, would I say cope with it, or how did you see it?
So we're like living with her off and on. So the living with her didn't start until like we were older, like high school, college, like late high school, college. I always knew something was up, and I really think they tried to keep it, in a sense, from us because we were young and they didn't want that around or us thinking differently. But I was kind of close with my aunt because my aunt has only boys. So I was her girl. And paying attention to her from like when I was young, it was like, oh, my aunt, she was boisterous. She's gonna say what she feels. And when I was in high school and college, I noticed, I was like, no, she's always seemed like she's out of it. She's never in tune with what's going on. The whole personality changed. And I knew growing up my aunt had trauma and had issues with mental health. So that wasn't a secret. Because my family's not like one of those that like, oh, we're going to keep it behind closed doors. No. They were like, we need to handle it. So I think I felt kind of helpless in a sense because I wanted to help her, but I was too young to know exactly how to help her. And I think that really just made me strive to be like, okay, I don't want anybody else to feel like they can't help their person.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it kind of put that fire there to like, I'm going to help her. I'm going to figure out what I can do on my side. And then I had to also grow in the aspect of thinking you can't really help the person until they want the help.
Right.
Because she, at that time, I don't want to say it, but like, she didn't.
Just in some level of denial.
She was
herself.
still in some level of denial.
Yeah.
And I remember her telling me one day, I was in college, she was like, I just want you to be proud of me. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, and I just was just like, oh, okay. But as I got older, I realized it was more of a self-seeking thing. And I remember telling her when she got her chip last month, I was like, you know what? I'm really proud of you. Yeah. And I feel like it was the look of satisfaction for her when she started going to her NA. And I was like, she's like, I don't have a way. I said, well, don't worry about it. I'll take you. Just having that person that understands that it's not like you woke up that morning and was like, you know what? I'm going to be an addict today.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's that person of understanding of you went through some trauma, you have had your issues, and you're also dealing with a disease.
Yeah.
Because I felt like, and honestly, part of me was a little upset with the people around that were like, if she wanted to stop, she can stop anytime she wants to.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm like, it's a disease.
Yeah.
You don't wake up one morning and say you don't want cancer anymore.
True.
So how do you expect her to wake up one morning and say, you know what? I'm done. But at that point, she was too far into her disease to know, at that point, get herself out, in a sense.
Yeah.
She'd been to rehab, but she didn't stay. But she was dealing with so much other stuff that she needed the support, but she had to find the strength from her too.
Yeah.
It was a combined effort. It was a family effort, not just you're okay.
Yeah.
Like denying that it's even there.
And I think a lot of it also stems from stigma, you know, from the communities we come from. I mean,
Absolutely.
we think it's not a problem. And I think it's mainly ignorance as well. You don't know better. Like, for me, I also didn't know anything about, like, addiction or substance use until it happened to a close, like, family member of mine. And it was like you said, she can't stop if she really wants to stop. And it's like, no, she can't. Like, it's not something she can just do. But, you know, a lot of people feel like you started using of your own free will. You should be able to stop of your own free will.
Which increases the stigma, the sense of shame or guilt that says, you know, I can't even ask for help anymore.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad you were in that position and you saw it from a different view. Like, she had a disease.
Yeah, because I also saw it from the aspect of, in the African-American community, certain substances that are used is still not considered addiction.
Right.
They still want to say, oh, yeah, that's not addiction. Marijuana,
No.
you can use that. That doesn't do anything. Or alcohol, you can drink every day. And they're like, oh, yeah, they're fine. But then when somebody comes up and they have cirrhosis of the liver or heart disease, things like that, and they're like, well, he should have stopped drinking a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And because I had an uncle, he was like that. He drunk every time I have ever seen him, he had a beer. And I was like, but nobody ever, like growing up, nobody ever brought attention to it. It was just normal.
Yeah.
So do you think, in general, things are changing in terms of people families having more conversations, educated more, actually beginning to talk to each other a little bit more about this? Or what are you seeing out there?
I feel like it's a 50-50. Some are more open to it, but some are still under that stigma.
Yeah.
And especially if you have a family that has a lot of older, like my grandma's 80, and certain things she's still like, no.
Yeah.
But
We just get set in our ways with family patterns. Sometimes it's hard to break those. Even when we know there's something serious going on, we've got these patterns we do and kind of ignore things.
yeah. So I do think the younger generation is more upfront.
Okay.
about addressing what addiction looks like or that addiction is a thing. But they are also more upfront about mental health.
Yeah.
Where the older community is like, well, we know this is happening, but, let's sweep it under the rug or let's not talk about it. And if you don't talk about it, it's going to go away.
Yeah.
But that's not how life works. So I feel like it's a 50-50 split right now.
Yeah.
That's true. Mental health. I mean, I'm glad mental health is a thing now because
Absolutely.
before it wasn't. It was just everyone is fine. I don't need to see a therapist and all that. But now it's something people talk about
I
a
love
lot.
that.
And I think COVID also helped open
Yeah.
that door as well.
Expose so much of it. Yeah.
Just making people like look inward and see like, oh, this feeling I've always had is probably due to something I went through in the past or something like that. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that.
But you also know, I thought this was weird. A lot of people go through the mental health aspect, but they never want to address the fact that generationally, genetics,
Yeah.
they don't want to address the fact that, oh, my aunt had depression. My grandmother had depression. My mom struggled with depression. Oh, I don't have it. Nope.
Yeah.
But you're showing all of the signs of being depressed. I'm so glad that it's now a thing to say, hey, I'm not my best person today.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because we know now there's enough experience and statistics to show that if somebody's not dealing straightforwardly with depression or anxiety, those are often that catalyst that does lead to abuse or substance use disorder.
Right.
Right. So it's been a big deal to begin to get those to destigmatize even mental health issues. Right.
Right.
Absolutely. Because I feel like in a lot of ways, mental health and addiction definitely goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't think that for a while.
Right.
But it definitely does. Plays a huge part.
Yep. So we always give our guests last say. If you had a minute, what would you say to students, families out there about these issues? What kind of encouragement or advice would you give them?
I think I would say for families, it's okay to talk about it. Everything doesn't have to be a secret because when secrets are exposed, that's when the help can happen. As far as students, that it's okay to be a leader of today. You don't have to not condemn, but demote yourself and your thought processing to make others comfortable. Because you can't grow if you're comfortable. So I definitely would say just keep being you. You don't just because everybody's doing it. If you're not doing it, that means everybody's not doing it.
Yeah.
So that's probably what I would say.
Well, Jasmine, thanks for coming in this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Keep up the good work with the students and the cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Folks, thanks for joining us for this episode of APC Recovery Cafe, and we'll see you soon.
One of the things that APC is known for is being a connector because we're stronger together.
Not only are we there for those who are suffering through substance use disorder, but we're there for family members, and we really take our job seriously.
We all have personal reason why we're in this field. We're changing people's lives one community at a time.